Yo, what's
Hey,
good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of VIP Room. It's been a minute. I think about 3 weeks. Haven't had one in 3 weeks. Episode 18. Back here with my co-host Bama. We got a special guest, man. Former basketball star, now Bills QB coach Ronald Curry in the building. How you feeling, Coach?
I'm good, baby. Just out here trying to adjust to this Buffalo weather, man.
Yeah, for sure. Is this like snowed up there and stuff still? Or nah.
Nah, man, it's actually been pretty good, man. I came from New Orleans, man, so I think I brought some of that good weather with me. Hopefully, what I mean, they usually say it snowed down here until like the end of May, but it snowed like twice since I've been here. A little rainy today,
Mm.
but for the most part, man, it's been good, man. It's been solid. I can't complain.
Okay, cool. So let's get it started. You was a football star back in the 90s, and also you was a McDonald's All-American. You was a two-way star. So just before I ask, man, what was your recruiting process like? So I know that was probably
Man, it was. I guess it's not like it is now with the NIL, but it was. It was crazy at first, but I shut it down like early, letting people know that I was only going to, one of three schools, and that was Virginia, Florida State, and then North Carolina, which I ended up going to. It was a basketball decision. A lot of schools, they was going to allow me to play both sports, but they just wasn't, really good at both sports at the time. Carolina was top five in football and basketball. Um, but I was heavily recruited early, but I shut it down pretty quick. Just through the guidance of some of the people that's around me, some of the plans that I really wanted to do. I really wanted to play basketball,
Mhm.
so that was my goal. Go to a school like North Carolina, play a year or two, and then end up going to the NBA. Didn't quite work out that way, but coming out, that was like the decision I was trying to make when I went to UNC.
Okay, cool. Yo, Bama, you here?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Bama.
All right, coach. So I want to know who was the first person that gave you inspiration to play basketball and football? Who was the person that inspired you to play?
My grandpops, man, rest in peace, man. He put the ball in my hand, man, and he was the first person to play catch with me, first person to teach me really, hard work. And then I grew up in the neighborhood, man. So a lot of the guys that was in my neighborhood, man, they really pushed me. They made sure I stayed out of trouble. They saw my talent at an early age, man. And they just kept me on the right path, man. So, and I think I was just self motivated, man. I would say I was in a good position, not a great position, and just like everybody that come from the hood around the way, man. Our motivation is to get out. So I was motivated to just to ball and balls my way out, man. Like we didn't see doctors and lawyers and all of that in my neighborhood, man. So it was ball or it was the other stuff, man. And I chose the righteous path, man, and applied all my energy to balling, football and basketball, man. And I had some good coaches along the way. Had a good group of friends that we played football and basketball pretty much together. And what I'm saying? So I think the motivation for me was really just my circle, what I'm saying? Like I say my granddad, man, making sure that I stayed, where I was supposed to be.
Facts. So I want to ask you this because, like I said, you was a two-way star, but I think you are the only high school athlete to ever win Gatorade Player of the Year in the same year in both sports.
Yeah.
I want to ask you personally, do you personally feel like you are, or if not, one of the greatest high school athletes of all time?
I mean, I don't, I'm a humble guy, man. So I would say I'm one of them. I'm in the conversation, man. But I don't think there's too many people that did what I did in high school. I recognize that. But when you kind of, when you're in the moment, you're in the moment. So, when I'm going through, when I'm playing football, I'm playing basketball, I hear what everybody is saying about me. But I'm just still that same kid that's from Shell Road, just around the way. So like once I look back on it and I talk to people and it's a good conversation piece and it comes up, I really realize, there's just the effect that I had on a lot of different people. But, my grandparents raised me, man, so they didn't tolerate, me really, getting into that, getting the big head and all that, man. They kept me humble. So I never really looked at my accolades. I don't know what half of my trophies and stuff are at. That stuff really didn't mean much to me, man. I had one goal only, man, and that was to make it to the league. So all that other stuff was just stepping stones.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Bam, you can go ahead.
Can you walk us into that year? Cause that's crazy to me. Like you both sports. So like in the summer, I'm assuming like. What was your mentality like? Did you feel like something special? Like, did you feel like more hungry or or more driven? Like, because like I said, to be the best, like Gatorade and Mr. Football is two totally different things. Gatorade, that means you the best out of 50 states. Mr. Football means you just the best in your state. So
man,
can you talk to us some of that?
Yeah, a lot of that stuff just, I wouldn't say it came from nowhere. I mean, I knew I was putting in work. But my goal, I mean, I didn't really see like Gatorade Player of the Year. When I started getting nominated for that stuff, it was all new to me. So I wasn't like, my motivation is to be Gatorade Player of the Year, man. It really was like, winning these next games and being these best players. And, I grew up in the same areas like, Mike Vick and Allen Iverson. So those guys and seeing what those guys were doing was really like the motivation in the competition, to really try to, be just as good as them or better. You know what I mean? And everything else was kind of like a byproduct, to be honest with you, man. So when I got Gatorade Player of the Year in football, I knew I was the best player, And in the last 2 or 3 years, we won state championship 3 years in a row. We was national titles 2 years in a row. And then a lot of the players that I was playing against in basketball, we played against them since the 8th grade in the AAU. So I knew I was putting in work on that circuit too. So, but being like the best player, you start looking at those rankings, and those rankings, they change, on a daily basis. So I was always up there. And then when I played against the best players, man, I held my own and that better. You know what I mean? So I knew where I stood versus those guys, but the accolades again, like they came, it was good. It was good to put, to give to, my family, put it on a trophy case. But at the end of the day, man, it was like one mission and one mission only, yo. So, so that was just a byproduct of what I did, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. I want to ask you personally, bro. Of course, as a 2A athlete, because I used to play football and basketball, I used to think I was better in basketball than I better was in football. And then later out, that turned out to be the opposite. So I want to ask you the same question. Do you personally feel like you was better in basketball than football? Or would you thought it was opposite? Or you thought it was equal?
I felt like I was probably a better football player than I was basketball. I feel like I was pretty good at both. I feel like I could dominate the game from the quarterback position a little bit more than I did at the point guard position. In high school, it was, it was easy. You was the best athlete on the field for the most part. You was the best player for the most part. When you got to college, for me, when I went to UNC, I had to really run the show. I was a point guard. In college, I was a scorer. In high school, I was a scorer. So my role changed. So I had to kind of figure that out. So at the end of the day, man, I felt like I was a better football player than a basketball player. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to play quarterback in the pros. I had to switch to wide receiver. So, I would never know how good I would have really been in the NFL playing a position of quarterback.
You go ahead, Bama.
What's one of the more like your memorable games in high school? Video game numbers.
Man, like, listen, we averaged 55 points and giving up 6 in high school, man. So it's been games where, I would score 4 touchdowns passing, 2 rushing, another punt return. It's been games where I had 7 touchdowns. I finished the season with 76 touchdowns total 1 year. And I was just scoring from everywhere, man. Like, the game probably that I remember the most is one game that we lost at the end of the game. I only lost 2 games in high school. And then it was another one to where we had to get a goal line stop. And that was, a low scoring game, like, 20 to 13 or something like that, or 14-9 actually. But all the other games, man, we just, another game we played another team, and they averaged giving up 51 points a game. We run a quarterback option the first play of the game for 51 yards. So it's like the first play of the game, we got more yards than they was giving up for the whole season. So just little games like, you remember the rivalries, like for us, you want to know this, but like, Phoebus, Kickintan, Bethel, just those teams that was in our district, that was in our city, because we shared a city stadium with 3 other teams. So when we played those guys, and we kind of grew up playing Pop Warner versus a lot of those dudes. So playing them dudes were memorable. But Going down playing in the state championship game, they popping off and score 0-0 going into the second quarter, and next thing you know, it's 51-0 going into the end of the third quarter. So we was honestly, it was like Madden out there, man. We had my junior year, out of 14 games, 7 of the games we scored on the first play of the game. And we didn't play against weak competition. I'm from the 757, the Tidewater area, and if you played any ball, you didn't heard about the 757. You know what I'm saying? So it's real down there. So it wasn't like we was playing against people that shouldn't have been on the field with us. So, but it was all the high school was memorable, man. It's so many memories, man. It's just like how it is when you play sports. Like you remember the games, but you really remember the dudes that was on the field with you in the locker room and that type of stuff, man. You remember the practices that you go into, getting up at 5:30 in the morning. You remember the dog days when everybody hate the coach. You know what I'm saying? You remember, going out after the homecoming game and getting into whatever you're getting into. You know what I mean? So, those are things I remember. It was a point where, in the third quarter, man, the band playing, so we rocking the game over with. You know what I mean? And it was, it's probably one game a year that we had to really like, man, like these dudes gonna be on it. But we was well prepared. You know what I mean? We didn't take anybody lightly. You know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, man, we was different. We was different back then. And I get just like all quarterbacks, man. I got a lot of credit, man. And honestly, I felt like I probably got a little bit more than I deserved. But I did put in some work.
Facts. So, when you first get to UNC, I gotta ask. I think everybody has I think everybody has to have a moment. So I want to ask you, when you first got to college, if you can remember, what was the hardest workout you ever went through? So it could have been basketball or football because you played both. The hardest workout.
The conditioning test, bro. Everybody we had suicides on the football field. You run to the 10 back, 20 back, 40 back, other 40 back. That was the conditioning test. I can't remember the time, but I can remember. And then back then, different from y'all little young guys, we had to practice right afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it wasn't. That's what I remember. Those, and then in the 2 days, they putting the cots out in the gym, so you right back there at it. So like the whole month of August was hard. You know what I mean? So you was praying for school to start. You know what I'm saying? So the hardest, man, honestly, that conditioning test is a beast. And then we went from that to running 8 300s around the field under 55 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And like, man, that's just. And my problem, honestly, with playing football and basketball, like I never did like those early morning workouts with the football team because I was playing basketball. You know what I'm saying? So my conditioning level wasn't always the best when the season and stuff first started. I had to work myself in shape, and leaving football going to basketball, that was the hardest thing. Like, you're just not in, like leaving football, you're not in basketball shape, man. Your chest is bleeding. And then you go to football, you put in all those pads and all that. Like you ain't really been conditioned for that. And I was a QB, so I wasn't really lifting like that either. So, quarterbacks do different lifts. You know what I'm saying? So you don't really do much for your legs. You might do some leg press and all of that. So, I was athletic enough to do what I had to do. But my skill level had to catch up, like through the season. I had to make it through camp. The first game or two, I might have a little rust I got to knock off, and then after that, it's ready to go. But that was the hardest part for me, just adjusting my body. The way I was moving, like you wake up the next day after your first basketball practice because you ain't really been moving like that, and your whole body hurt. You know what I'm saying? But that was probably the hardest thing that I had to really go through, just the transition between both sports and that daggone conditioning test. I think all conditioning tests, for the most part, back in the day was crazy.
Okay. In fact, you go ahead, Bama.
All right, Coach, I'm 32, so I do remember after running the condition test, we did have, not right after, but I did have practice. I played too, but we did have practice later that day. So I just want to let you know, I remember like that conditioning test was no joke. But what I want to talk about, you hit on it a little bit, but like I said, I watched a documentary on you. You had a documentary on ESPN, but anyway, they talked about how that was a struggle because, like I say, the muscles you train for quarterback does not necessarily make you a great point guard.
Right.
And then you got hurt, you tore your ACL. So can you speak to us about how do you overcome those adverse moments? Like, can you walk us through, like, do you read or do you go talk to your grandparents or how is that? Because even after they asked you about your career, you even said like you had no regrets. That was just your story God gave you. So that really moved me because a lot of times you hear a lot of athletes, oh, if I would have did this, but you when the camera was in your face, you said you had no regrets. So can you speak to us on how you handle those adverse moments?
I was raised by my grandparents. I give them a lot of credit for what I am and how I am today and how I approach a lot of situations. And they always told us, man, whatever's for you, you know what I'm saying? And God has blessed you in many different ways. And they always preach to us, man, be careful how you handle situations because every situation you go through is not for you. It may be for somebody who's watching, and God never gives you more than you can handle. You know what I mean? When I first tore my Achilles in college, my wife was the person that helped me rehab and all that type of stuff to where, we end up being closer now. That's my wife, and I got 3 kids now. Right? I love my 3 kids and my wife to death. And that came from the Achilles. You know what I'm saying? So if I never tear my Achilles, who knows, where I would be right now in life. But like I was just raised, man, like anything worth having is gonna be hard. You know what I'm saying? Anything worth having is gonna be hard. And whatever I went through in my life, tearing my Achilles, having to change positions, like the way I grew up, that's easy. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the easy part. You know what I mean? I came from a place where you wasn't always guaranteed a meal every day. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the lights and water was off. You know what I mean? So, to go through that, you got free lunch, and the only time sometimes you ate is when you went to school. You know what I mean? So it's like to go through that and then, house being burnt down and coming home and everybody gone, you can't find nobody. And then you go through the things that you go through as, a college student. It's like, yo, that's nothing. That's cake. You know what I'm saying? That's cake. So my adversity that I kind of went through early in life prepared me for what I went through, and it gave me the platform that I have now to be able to reach kids, to be able to reach players, to help them through their situations when they don't handle it like I handle it. You know what I mean? So I think I'm a cool, calm, collective guy, and that pushes off to a lot of people to where they feel comfortable with me. And being that I've been through stuff, I'm a player and a coach. That I'm an ex-player and a coach to where, the arena that I'm in right now, it helps me. You know what I mean? So everything I've been through, it helps me to what I'm doing currently today.
Facts. No bullshit. Hey man, what was it like, bro, playing with Julius Peppers? Because both of y'all two-way guys. I think he was like your starting center, starting power forward, and then on the field, starting defensive end. So what was it like playing with Julius Peppers, bro? Because I know
Pep the man. That's my dog, man. I'm happy that he's going into the fame, but it's funny because Pep played school North Carolina. It was like a 1A school, so he getting the ball, he's jumping over the line, going and score. Funny story about Pep though. So he comes to college and he's a tight end at first, can't catch a cold, like running out routes, can't catch. All right, so they redshirt him, put him at defensive end. First play of the game, sophomore year, one-handed interception, take it back to the house. The rest of the story. All right, freshman year, Carolina. If you're not on scholarship on basketball, they make you play JV, right? So they try to make Pep play JV. He was like, I ain't doing that. So I ain't playing JV. So our freshman year, he didn't play. So our sophomore year, like yo, we needed him. So he ended up coming out there and playing two seasons basketball, dominating. He probably could have went to the NBA, you know what I mean? But he just, man, he's a humble dude, man. He quiet, he goofy, he just sit back in the corner laughing at everything. But that's my dog, man. But he was amazing to watch, man. Just being somebody that's that big and moved the way he moved. It was effortless, you know what I'm saying? And he had power and he had finesse, he had speed, he had whatever you wanted. You know what I mean? He could have played point guard, he could have played center. You know, and you can't say there's too many people that can do that. You know, he was one of them, one of a kind type of guys, man.
Thanks. Go ahead, Bill.
Can you talk to us? How was it? So I'm from Alabama, Birmingham to be exact. So can you, for me, Bobby Bowden, legendary. How was that to get recruited by the legendary Bobby Bowden, man?
Man, Bobby was good, man. He was cool, but you know, when we was recruiting, they had Chris Winkie coming in, and I didn't say no names, but
yeah,
it was just like, you know, you might not have the chance to play quarterback, so I asked them off quick, and it's funny because the offensive coordinator, I ain't gonna say his name, and quarterback coach, he the one who called me and told me, right? He told me like Thursday night, well, Wednesday night, and I was supposed to go to Florida State on a visit on Friday. So I called and was like, I canceled my visit, and I get home from practice on Thursday, Bobby Bowden sitting on my couch. Like, yo, what happened? I'm like, here and there, chopping it up with my grandma and all that. And I was like, man, old boy told me I wasn't going to play quarterback. He's like, nah, you know, you're going to play quarterback. But by that time, my mind was made up. I ain't going. Crazy thing about it was my freshman year. They went to the national championship game, and Chris Winkie got hurt. And the backup quarterback ended up being the one that was playing. You know what I'm saying? So, but Bobby Bowden, man, like, listen, Bobby Bowden recruited me. Dean Smith recruited me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was cool with Coach K because I played with Jason Capel.
Yeah.
His brother Jeff Capel was the guy at Duke. So we used to spend a lot of time down there, man, like at Duke. So, you know, some of the greats, John Thompson, I knew him because of Allen Iverson. You know what I'm saying? So him and my AAU coach was cool. But when you're on the AAU circuit, you see all the legendary basketball coaches, Izzo, all of them. Football, like, they got to make home visits, and like I said, I cut football off pretty quick. But I did speak with Bobby Bowden, man. He was great, man. He was one of us. He was a recruiter though. Like once you get into the game, you go like, oh yeah, he was selling. But at the same time, like, you know, you go down there and you do what you do. You know, but it was, you know, being recruited by those guys, and like you say, when you grow up, I grew up more playing sports than watching sports, but I knew who Bobby Bowden was. You know what I mean? So, you know, I had letters from him, had voice messages from him, all that stuff. So it meant something back then for sure.
As a recruit during the time, was there ever a moment in your recruiting process you was just like a moment was like, wow? Like, for example, like my recruiting process when I'm still playing, my wow moment was when I got offered at LSU at the camp. Like, that was my like wow moment. Like, damn, like I almost like I could really make it. So like, what was your wow moment? Because again, like I'm gonna keep saying, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. Winning Gatorade Player of the Year in both sports in one season, that shit is mind blowing.
Yeah, it's,
I didn't even know that. So like, it could be a basketball story or a football story. What was like, wow, like damn.
I would say two. So my wow moment is like when you first get that first letter. You know what I'm saying? Because like when you were a young dude, like I didn't, like, your pops was in it, like in the game and all that. So you kind of knew a little bit about, you know, recruiting in the sports and all that. Like, people from my area didn't really go to college like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was new to me. But like, so I was like, when I first got my first letter, and then I get a bunch of letters, and then it was like, wow, you know, and then, you know, one day I'm at basketball practice. We just at practice, and Dean Smith walks into the gym with Phil Ford, and then I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm trying to dunk on everybody. I look over there. I didn't dunk on the dude. I looked over there. He ain't even paying attention. He over there talking to my coach. You know what I'm saying? So, but like, my recruit process, it was wild early, but by the end of it, I was ready for it to be over. You know what I mean? Just because it was so many, not only the team recruiting me, it was, you know, players recruiting me. It was, everybody thought, you know, you should go to UVA. Everybody's trying to tell me what to do. You know what I mean? Everybody knew what was best for me. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't overwhelming. I was just like, man, I'm tired of it. I mean, I ain't taught this much to to certain people, more than 5 minutes in my whole life, and now all of a sudden they feel like they got the right to give me all this advice, and so it calls me like, you trust certain people you don't, you know what I'm saying? You take advice from certain people you don't. You build relationships, and you know what I'm saying? You got just certain people that you can talk to. But for my recruiting process, man, it was cool at first, you know what I'm saying? Because you guys, I'm playing on a football team that's stacked. So we comparing like, oh, I got a letter from UNC, I got a letter from UVA. So now you playing like you sitting on the porch, like, oh, that's my car. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, nah, I'm getting this letter. This is where I'm going. And it's like, USC. So now you can pretty much I got a letter from pretty much everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, that was like, dang. And I kept them all. You know what I'm saying? They probably still in the box at my grandma's house right now. You know what I mean? So that was the biggest point for me early.
Okay. All right, Bam, you go ahead.
I highlighted on it a little earlier. What was it like when ESPN made that documentary about you? How did that make you feel? Because even Michael Vick, he said if you would have stuck with football, you probably would have been a better quarterback than him. And like I said, Vick is Trent. No, we got this sports podcast that is a nostalgia god in football. So how does that feel, man? Hearing guys talk about it.
We grew up playing against each other. You know what I'm saying? So I think we pretty much know each other's talent. What I mean? I feel like if I didn't tear my Achilles, then things would have probably turned out a little bit different. I tore my Achilles 3 times. You know what I'm saying? I tore one and another one twice. That's something that, people don't, they don't. And I was still able to play 8 years in the NFL after doing that. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, that's a feat in itself. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear that coming from too many people. But the ESPN thing, it was, again, man, it was great, to kind of go through that and to bring more recognition to our area. It was deep for me because the piece was about, why I played. And one of my motivations and why I changed my number was the death of my cousin. My cousin got killed when I was going into my freshman year of high school. He wore number 1 and wore number 22 in basketball. So I changed my number to his numbers. We visited the grave site. So it spoke on some personal stuff for me as well. You know what I'm saying? And, so I think ESPN for highlighting some of that stuff. And, it was a good story. It was a good topic. It was a good piece. You know what I mean? But again, it just wasn't me. You know what I mean? It just wasn't me to be like, oh man, I'm on ESPN. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was, I recognized the gravity of the whole situation on how global ESPN is. And again, it's like when you look back on it, you're like, damn, I was on ESPN as a high school, as a jet. But when you're going through the moment, man, it's like at that point, it's just so much stuff, coming at you from every different way, from football, from basketball, from where you're going to school, from who you going to the prom with, to all that stuff around that time, man. So I was juggling a lot, and I was really probably stressed out around that time because, I was going to UVA, then I was not going to UVA, and all that stuff. So it was a lot to kind of juggle when the ESPN thing kind of, was kind of airing and me doing the interview.
Facts. So we in the, from speak from us young people and stuff like that. Now we in the NIL era. So I want to ask you, bro, if there was NIL back in the 90s, bro, what do you think your NIL worth would be, bro?
Man, I probably won't know your dad right now. I would have retired. I would have killed him, especially going to Carolina football and basketball, man. What they giving these kids, man. It would have been like Jerry Rice, man. I would have set some records on LeBron James that these dudes wouldn't be able to touch. You know what I mean? Like you say, like when you come out as the top player in both sports, and you're gonna go to a school where you can play both sports, and then you go into a school that's, especially in basketball, that's giving out that bread, and in football too. So, I would have hit it on both ends. So it's I was probably 20 years too early coming through this thing, man. But I mean, I commend them, man. Like, you know, like I think this game, everybody want to win, man, but everybody need to take care of their family, man. I just hope and pray that these people, these dudes is getting all this money, got the right people around them. Even if they're not investing in, man, like being able to put that thing away, you know, save it up, let it gain some money, and when it's all said and done, man, they got something to fall back on because it's a lot of money for somebody, you know, that's 18 years old, and now they're taking it all the way down to like to they go middle school. So a lot of these kids are getting paid from their likeness, man. So hopefully they I don't know the rules to it and when they can touch it, when they can't touch it, and all of that, but hopefully it's some guidelines to where these guys are making a lot of money because they got handlers, they got agents, they got all this stuff early that they getting paid too. You know what I mean? So so hopefully these guys are doing what they need to do and they got the right people around to make sure that it's not all for nothing.
Okay, cool. You can go ahead, Bama.
I did like a little studying on you. They talked about with your because I'm gonna stay on. I got a question about the Achilles, but I'm gonna come back. So I'm gonna stay on subject. You hit it on the head, but in your documentary they talked about how you was just basically a lot of people was just influence you because you was just such a big name and all of this stuff. And they talked about how all the way up to the day of the McDonald's All-American game, you switched to school again. So looking back, hindsight 2020, if you had a son that was similar to how you are right now, would you allow coaches and stuff to influence him, or how would you probably redo that decision over? Do you felt like they left it? Did you feel like they kind of took it out of your hands, or because I felt like how ESPN made it seemed like you just had a whole bunch of people telling you what was best for you, and they really didn't allow you to figure it out for yourself.
Nah, I mean, I figured it out for myself. Like I would say, if I do have a son, and if he's ever in the situation that I was in, I would have him to take his time. My problem for me was like again, we always go back to my grandparents, right? My granddad, he raised me. Like I was the top player in football and basketball, but he never came to one game, right? And he didn't come to a game because Fridays he's working. It wasn't because he didn't want to come, right? That was the only real male figure that I listened to that was in my life, right? So for me, it kind of hit on how I grew up. So I grew up and some stuff happened, like house burned down, all of that. I stayed in the car for 2 weeks. I had nowhere to go. And this is my 8th grade year, right? So my 8th grade year, I'm going through all of this just to give you a little bit of backstory to it, right? So then I go to 9th grade year. So still going through the same thing. My best friend I end up going to stay with my best friend. The first game of the year, my freshman year, I throw for 3 touchdowns, 250 yards, and we go into overtime. I scored a winning touchdown in overtime. Right? Now everybody's Ronald Curry crazy, right? But 2 months ago, I was sleeping in the car with nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? And I held on to that probably too long to where when people start coming into my life, I always go back to where, damn, it was a point in my life where I needed people in my life, and I had those people wasn't in my life. So it was a lot of people talking, but it was in one ear out of the other. You know what I'm saying? Because now I got trust issues with the people that's coming in and out. And listen, I was going to UVA. That's all I knew was UVA, right? And before the NIL, I'm gonna go to UVA. I go down there. They got all these players that's going to come to UVA if I go there. All right. So just commit, and these guys are going to come. All right. So when it comes time to signing day, they want me to sign first. I'm like, yo, well, all these people that's supposed to sign that, they ain't signing. They waiting for you to sign. So I was like, okay, no problem. I'm not going to sign. I'm going to take a trip to North Carolina. I wasn't even going to North Carolina on a visit, right? So I go to North Carolina on a visit. I come back as a practical joke, being an 18-year-old kid. I get all the swag gear. I come to school. I got swag. I got Carolina gear on, coach called me in his office. He got a little UVA background or whatever. He called the UVA recruiter, and he talking crazy to me. Like, yo, you couldn't start if you go there. If you play us, we're going to do this to you, this, that, and the third. Instantly, I was like, you know what? I ain't messing with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Last week, I'm the best things to slice bread. Now I can't even start if I go to UVA. So it got personal. You know what I'm saying? And but before even that happened, I was going to come out of the league. I was going to come out of high school. I was going straight to the NBA, right? And so when they did the mock draft, they had me going from 16 to 19, right? And if you know anything about the lottery and all that, the first through 13, that's what like the real money is. Yeah. So it was like, okay. And then, so now I'm meeting with agents, I'm meeting with Nike, I'm meeting with all of this and just trying to see, okay, what's the best way to do this, that, and the third. So people felt like Nike and them talked me into going to UVA because Virginia is a Reebok school, which was totally false. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go play a year and I'm going to play myself into the lottery. So what better school to go to, North Carolina or UVA, to play basketball? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, I wasn't even going to play football. The only reason I played football is because you had to sign, like you couldn't back then, I don't know how the rules are now, you can't play a sport before your sport, right? So if you if I would have signed a basketball scholarship, I couldn't play football, right? So I go in, I signed a football scholarship, I had to go to training camp, and it was like, so you go to training camp when school start, you're going to redshirt this year. When school start, you go to the basketball team. All right. So we go through training camp. I start fifth on the depth chart. Oscar Davenport is the starter. He's a fifth-year senior. All right. By the end of training camp, I'm number 2 on the depth chart. Right. So first game, fourth play of the game, he gets hurt. Right. Coach look at me and say, like, yo, I know we're gonna redshirt you. What you want to do? I was like, so what you think I want to do? I want to play. You know what I'm saying? But I never went back and forth with my decision. You know, I committed to UVA. That's where I really wanted to go. But some things were said. A lot of things were said that were supposed to happen that didn't happen. Didn't happen at the time they said it was going to happen. So I really just took a visit to North Carolina to show, like, listen, like, I know I'm up here all the time. I know I got family and coach and friends and all that up here, teammates up here, but like, y'all got to do what y'all said y'all was going to do. You know what I mean? And they didn't. And at the end of the day, it was just like, I was painted as this bad person, this Benedict Arnold and all of that. And I just took it, like, cause it didn't really mean nothing to me. But a lot of people think I just was flipping, flopping, but it was only, I committed one time and then during, and then the signing day, I didn't sign. And then when it was time, like McDonald's game came around, because if you don't sign at a certain time, you can't play your freshman year. So it was coming to the deadline of signing to where I had to make a decision. And I took it all the way up. I mean, I tossed and turned, even though all the stuff that was said to me, like over the phone and all that, I still was thinking about, I still wanted to go to UVA. When I signed the letter of intent and put it in the mailbox, I went for North Carolina. I wanted to go take that jump right out. You know what I mean? Because like UVA is where I wanted to go. But, you know, I think I made a good decision about going where I went, you know.
Okay. All right. So, you know, I'll transition a little bit because we had a good career both in basketball and football. So I want to know, when you got drafted to the Raiders, bro, what was just draft day like? What was it like?
Man, I had to wait too long. But it was cool, man. Like just to hear your name and get that phone call. I mean, and I grew up a Raiders fan. You know what I'm saying? Tim Brown and, you know, Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson and all that. You know, I used to have the starter Raider jacket, you know, all the way in Virginia. So, but just for them to call your phone and telling you like, yo, we're drafting you, and you get the call before it come across the ticker, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, you can watch and see it come across the ticker. Man, it's everything you work for, man. It's everything you wanted in life. You get to realizing it. All you need is an opportunity, bro. And a lot of people don't get that opportunity. You know what I mean? And some people are deserving of the opportunity and they don't get it. And some people don't deserve it and they do get it. You know what I mean? So for me to be granted the opportunity, that's all I can ask for, man. Just give me just open the door for me. Let me walk through the door and I'll do the rest. You know what I mean? And when you believe in yourself like that, and I did, and I do, like man, like once I was able to go out there, and I thought I was gonna be able to play quarterback, but I didn't. But you know what I mean? But like that, I waited around. You see some guys that go in front of you that shouldn't go in front of you, but when your name is called, man, like all those feelings go away. All these guys be like, man, I should have went here, I should have went there. When their name is called, you see them crying. You know what I'm saying? You see them doing all that. You know what I mean? So it definitely was an honor, a privilege, and a blessing, bro. To be honest with you.
In fact, you go ahead, Bama.
Okay? So I got physical therapy here shortly. I tore both of my patella tendons. You talked about tearing your Achilles twice. Yeah, I tore them at the same time too, hooping crazy as hell. But you talked about you tearing yours 3 times mentally, dog. Like, how did you overcome that? Because me, I tore both my patellas. I don't think I want to hoop no more. And this just
man, I knew I won't finish yet, man. I still had stuff I had to do, And when I and the crazy thing is like I tore my 3rd season in the league, and like I was a special teams player, and I finally started playing some receiver. And I was really making plays. I was kind of coming into my own, and then bam, I tear my Achilles. And then, so then when I come back, it ain't quite right yet, and then I tear it again. But I just knew I could play. You know what I'm saying? I just knew I could play. And again, like thank God with the Raiders, man. A lot of times, like people go through that, like teams give up on them. You know what I'm saying? So. But man, I just had this drive, man, and I was motivated to get back on the field. And I just knew I wasn't done. And listen, man, like I'm competitive, and I'm stubborn to that point to where I just knew that I can go out there and I can play against these dudes that's in the NFL on one leg. You know what I mean? So that's what I did, man. It's like I'm not gonna close the door on myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna let somebody else do it, and that's all I can do. Like as long as I got that opportunity to shine, you know what I'm saying? Then you gonna shine, man. Energy finds the sunlight.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir.
I definitely agree, bro. During your time at Oakland, man, one of the greatest receivers of all time came to Oakland. I know his reputation, like when people talk about Randy Moss's tenure at Oakland, they talk about it in a negative way. But just being as a teammate and stuff, what was it like being around Randy Moss?
Greatest teammate I ever had, man. Point blank, simple. You know what I mean? Like he the type of person where, like, how coaches like only get on certain people. You know what I'm saying? And he's the type where, like, man, if you ain't gonna get on me, you can't get on them. Like you go out, he taking care of stuff. He making sure you rehabbing. You think he a basketball player, so you go play basketball with everybody. But he was a pro's pro. Now he did have some, a little streak to him when the coach got on him or got on his nerves. But man, I would say this. So we played Minnesota the year before, and C. Wood shut him down. I think he had like 1 catch, 7 yards. Like C. Wood shut everybody down. Charles Woodson.
Yeah, Charles Woodson.
And like, so we signed Randy, and Randy comes to like OTAs. So most times veterans don't come to OTAs back in the day. And so now Randy's there, so C. Wood's there. And I'm going to say they go at it. I'm talking about the first couple plays, Randy kills him. Like, you can't touch him, streaking. But, I think with Randy, you know what I mean? I don't know, like, he loved Minnesota. So it was an adjustment for him. Not to put words in his mouth. And he had the opportunity to go play with the best quarterback of all time, and Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? So how you pass on that? So I enjoyed my time with Randy. I'm still a good friend with Randy, man. He's one of the best teammates I ever had. The narrative on a lot of these guys, I wouldn't say the greatest, because a lot of times the people who's writing this stuff is like, like you get to the point where they only ask the tough questions after the bad games, or you see them out to eat and, they just want to spend time with their family. You know what I mean? They want to feel human, and a lot of times they don't get the opportunity to. So But Randy, man, good dude, great dude. If you ever got a chance to know him, man, you'll love him. Country's all get out though. Oh God.
Yeah, thanks. Go ahead, man.
So, man, they talked about, well, I know your NFL career, well, to me, 8 years is still long because this is the NFL. But throughout everything you went through, you still got a 4-year contract. So can you tell us, what did you buy with your first NFL check, dog?
Oh, man.
And salute to you, like coach, like for real, dog. I'm a short dude, so I'm real, like, whatever you tell me I can't do, I'm gonna do it. So, like, hearing your story, everything, the Achilles, all of that, dog.
I don't know the first thing I did with my contract, man. But I know I purchased my mom a house, and then I have a cousin that all the stuff that I talk about, we went through it together. So I bought him a house, a car. And then me and my wife, we had got married years before, and we had already kind of had a house, but even before the contract, like, it was a big contract, but I had already been in the league for like 4 years, so I already kind of had, the money and stuff that I wanted. Like, I remember coming to the league, and I did buy my wife a new ring too, but it was her 30th. She was going on her 30th. But like, I remember Tim Brown telling me, like, he can't have 2 spinners in the house. You know what I'm saying? Can't have 2 spinners in the household. So I chose to let my wife be the spinner. I didn't let her be the spinner. She's the wife, so she gets to spin.
Yeah.
But I am, like, I'm playing, like, when you ball, like you wear the same thing every day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You wearing sweats, and what you wear is free. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're spending some bread on, like the jewelry or something like that. I got the car that I wanted. I wanted the Denali. I got that my rookie year. So it was really nothing that I was really driven to get besides my people's, a better living situation. You know what I'm saying? And that was, that's what I did. So, yeah.
Facts.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then what's the thing when you, I don't know, maybe just like a beginning of the year or just throughout, if you have one, what is your welcome to the NFL moment?
Probably Ed Reed going across the middle. He caught me sleeping. He caught me sleeping. Ed Reed caught me sleeping. Ty Law did me dirty though, because we was brother-in-law the whole time. And then one time Tyrone Wheatley coming around the end, and he like takes me and pushed me back to him. So I knew right then there's no more brother-in-law. But yeah, I would say Ed Reed caught me on the seam route sleeping. So,
damn.
But now I'm hungry. I was after him the whole game. I never did get him. Still haven't got him.
That's crazy. Go ahead, man.
All right, I'm gonna talk about one of your highlights, man. You made like the ESPN top 10 for the Raiders. You made that. You was going that way. You was running the post, and you come back and you just snatch that thing. Walk us through that. Like, was it shit talking going on, or what amped you up to make that play, man?
It's Denver in the snow, and people think like it's snowing, but it ain't really that cold. You know what I mean? We got the long spikes on and all of that, and I remember double upright, wide cross. I'm just in the back of the end zone. Kerry Collins was my guy. Just threw it up, man, and again, like you in the moment, I'm just jumping, and I just reach back, catches the palms, and I always prided myself about catching anything that touch your hands, man. And luckily I was able to get it. I'm disappointed in the Snow Angel, but up until that point it was good. You know what I mean? But yeah, like man, that was a game of games, man. It was like Champ Bailey on the other side, so we going at him. It was me and Jerry Porter, so both of us have great games. We end up beating Denver down there, and then you make the play. And North Turner is the coach, so when I come in the next, like probably on Wednesday, like he had it blown up in the picture, gave it to me. I still got it in the picture frame. So again, in the moment, it's like, damn, you don't realize you did it until you see it on film and everybody is talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people make those plays. I'm pretty sure Odell, when he made his, he didn't really realize the magnitude that he had on that catch. You know what I mean? And I was kind of the same way. It was like, and it was in the snow, you know, and I had to use like a 40-something inch vert that I ain't got no more.
He definitely did get up.
You know what I mean? So all of that made it, you know, made it picture perfect, man. And then we got the dub on top of that. So, you know, that was a great moment for me.
Yeah, that's fine. So
it was one of those moments that live on. You know what I'm saying? Like people gonna always talk about that. They gonna go into the Raiders facility and they're still up. You know, so can't take that away from them.
Yeah, facts. So you know, you played for a good amount of time, and then you got into coaching. So I wanted to ask you because I've always asked my dad this too. Like, what made you want to start coaching?
Man, to be honest with you, so I really wanted to coach in high school, man, because I really wanted to get back to the neighborhood, to the youth, and I felt like they needed a lot of guidance. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to catch these kids early because we all been around people that would say, man, if he just would have stayed on track, like this dude good, but man, we had somebody around the way that was way better that didn't make it. So I wanted to try to catch them dudes a little early. So I'm in North Carolina and I'm coaching at this one school. So when I first come into the league, Jim Harbaugh is the assistant. Just to give you the background of the story. So I'm training these kids in North Carolina, and his cousin's son is one of the quarterbacks. So his cousin calls Jim Harbaugh when he's with the 49ers at the time. Was like, yo, Ron Curry's out here, he's coaching. He was like, yeah, give me his number. So he hit me up. They had just drafted this dude, BJ Daniels, as a quarterback from South Florida. They drafted him as an athlete, and Harbaugh had the same vision for him as they had for me. And he asked me would I come and basically be his personal coach. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So I had no intentions on coaching in the NFL. And then when I went down there, you know what I'm saying, Harbaugh was like, you know, as far as the interviewing process, and I'll be trying to tell people this all the time, it was like, you interviewed for this job 10 years ago when I was coaching you. And I knew the type of player you were then. I know the type of person you are. I know how you work. So your interviewing process already happened. As long as you want the job, you got it. So I was like, all right, cool. So I went out there, coached him up. He ended up making a team. And then Seattle poached him. And I ended up, you know, just staying there and coaching while he was there. And then the rest is history.
All right, man, we go ahead. I
was about to get ready to go. I just wanted to formally leave, man. I just wanted to say, man, it was a blessing to interview you, Coach, man. Appreciate you dropping some wisdom for me. I was just finna get ready to go to physical therapy. I ain't just want to hop off, man.
Hey, man, you know what I'm saying? The health is wealth, baby. You got to take care of yourself.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you, man, giving me that knowledge, dog. You have a good rest of your day, man.
All right, man.
All right, Trent.
Yep.
Yes, sir. All right, so, you know, I wanted to ask you this, man. So since, you know, you coached for the Saints for a long time, and I don't want to bring you back to bad memory lane, but I have to ask you, though. 2018, I think it's 2018, 2017.
Oh, God.
I got to ask you. 2018, the worst missed call in NFL history, and I know you was a coach for that. So just walk me through that play, and then, like, when you saw him get hit and they didn't call it, like, I gotta hit a reaction.
Man, it was so much going on in those situations that people missed the first two plays of that whole scenario. The first play, we run one play, and Mike Thomas, we got like a little run pass thing going, and Mike and Drew not on the same page. And then we run the ball, they call timeout. And then the pass comes up. And, you know, when it happened, it's like the game is over at that point. Like, we going to the Super Bowl. And, like, it's clear as day, bro. It's like he hit him like a full second before the ball get there. You know what I mean? And we already planning to go to the bowl. You know, you already kind of do that before, but now it's like the reality of it kind of sitting in. And the bad part about it is, like, we're about to kick the field goal to go up 3, but we still got a chance to win the game. So it's messed up. We're like, man, what the hell, you know, we're going crazy. But we still got a chance to win the game. So we kick the field goal, we go up 3, and then they go down, they kick 3. But the problem was the clock stopped, so they don't have to use their last time out. You know what I mean? So if the ball's completed and all of that, man, but it's like that was like, and we was a part like 2 years, the year before that, a part of the whole Minnesota.
I was just about to. I was just
You
about
know
to
what I'm
ask
saying?
you.
So it was, you know, like I gotta dye my hair now because it's grayed out from them two situations. Like
Yeah,
it'll stick with you, man. But man, the team persevered, man. Like it was bad for business, man. Like we was Sean, you couldn't get Sean for 2 weeks. You know, we don't know what direction we going in. Like it was bad, man. But you know, it was good for, I guess it was good for the NFL because they had something to talk about for 2 weeks until the Super Bowl. You know,
yeah, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, because that
it's
shows.
just a bad look, man. You know, people be riding the refs, but that's why they be riding them. Like you got people livelihoods on the line. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't miss those calls when you buy for like in those moments.
Yeah, facts for sure. So, you know, just to ask you just about coaching, man. What is your favorite part about coaching?
Just the relationships, man, with the boys, man, and being able to develop talent. You know what I'm saying? And when you can develop talent and you work with these guys and then you see it the proof of the pudding on game day, you know what I'm saying, is just is what you want to do. And then, you know, you reaching men or young men that's gonna grow up to be husbands and wives, husbands and fathers, you know what I mean? And you just try to, you know, give them little gems in life to what's going to help them navigate through certain situations, man. Because you know, a lot of these dudes that you get your hands on them in different stages in their lives, man, and then you could just help mold them, man. Just do your part. So, you know, you're a coach, man. You're a counselor. You're a psychiatrist. You're all of that. You know what I mean? And you got to be that for. And every player is different. Every player needs something different. And you know, I'm able to, you know, realize and recognize what a lot of these dudes need, and some of them don't need as much as the others, you know. So, you know, that's what I love about coaching, man. You can meet people where they at, you know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You know, because you know, you coached for the Saints for a long time, and now you just got recently hired with the Buffalo Bills. So I just want to ask just want to ask, man, like how excited are you to coach for the Buffalo Bills, with to work with
Man,
Josh Allen?
Josh Allen, one of the best players that played. I enjoyed coaching the quarterbacks that I had. You know, Jameis, Taysom, Derek, Andy. You know, M. Book. You know what I mean? Hayner. Like all these guys, man. I feel like I really enjoy coaching them, and I really enjoy coaching with the people that I coach with. I mean, I learned a lot of ball from a lot of people that's in that building, and hopefully I could take a little bit of that with me here. I've been around some great minds, but it's great minds in Buffalo, man. It's great minds always. You know, they've been 1 or 2 games away from getting to the Super Bowl themselves. And, you know, my job is not to mess Josh up. He's good at what he does. And hopefully, you know, I can help him get a little bit better because I don't care, you know, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, they got better every year. They didn't come back the same. You know what I mean? So my goal is to get, you know, Josh a little bit better and help hopefully I can help us get over this Kansas City thing that we got going on. You know what I mean? And I can do my part. You know, it ain't gonna be because of me, but hopefully I can do my part to help us get to where we need to be.
Okay, cool. So you know, before we head out, I got a 2-part question to ask you. So I'm gonna do an all-time version and a current one. So one, can I get your top 5 quarterbacks, no order, in the league right now?
In the league right now?
Yeah, no order, no order.
Gotta go with Josh Allen.
Yep.
Obviously Patty.
Yep.
Oh man, it's a tough one. Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say Tyrod because that's my guy. Let me see. Man, I kind of like Joe Burrows.
Okay. Well, you
Man,
know,
give me Jalen.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, give me Jalen.
That's a good 5.
That's 5.
That's 5 right here. And then the last one of the day before we head out, just because you play receiver, I need your top 5 receivers all time. No order.
All time? No
All time.
order? Okay.
Yeah.
That might be a little easier. All right.
Okay.
So obviously you got Jerry and Randy.
Yeah.
Those 1 and 2. Terrell Owens, I would say he up there.
Yes.
So I would say that rounds out the top 3. One of my favorite players of all time is Tim Brown, so I gotta throw Timmy B up in there.
Okay.
All right, man. I
Yes,
really
sir.
like,
Let's say you got one more.
I know I got one more. I got one more. Man, all time. I mean, there's a couple that can round out the group, man. So I'm a big route running guy. So I like Torrey Holt. I like Chad Ochocinco.
Okay.
But if I had to go with one, just because Torrey's my guy, I'm gonna go with Torrey.
Okay, cool.
He probably ain't in his top, but he in my top.
Okay, that's fine. So look, I appreciate you coming out, Coach. I really appreciate everybody in the chat that came out, tapped in with me, tapped in with the VIP room. And yeah, man, that's gonna do it, man. Again, like I said, appreciate everybody. Like, subscribe to the channel. Give me the 900 subs. We almost close to 1,000 subscribers. We pushing the content. And yeah, man, we out, man. Peace.
Hey, peace, baby. Appreciate you, big dog.
Yes, sir.